Tom, I hope we get our new system in the meeting room so you can have your cupcakes before I leave.
I would be really disappointed, except
I know.
I know where the county commissioners meet, though, Bonnie. I'll find it.
Guess who else wants them now? Mr.
Oh, yeah.
McCarthy.
Oh.
Alrighty, we're live and we're recording.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Eddie. Mr. McCarthy. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Debbie, you want to call us to order?
Yeah, Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mrs. Batchelor.
Here.
And Mr. Freeman.
Here.
All right, and Alan, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Alan.
You're very welcome.
All right, Debbie, approval of minutes.
I request a motion to approve the October 14th regular meeting minutes and October 22nd special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. Mrs. Batchelor.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
And Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right. As we alluded to here in the beginning, by default, everybody is muted, but if anybody has comments, we'll have plenty of opportunities for those throughout the meeting. All you have to do is hit *9 if you happen to be on a phone. Otherwise, there's a participant panel at the bottom of your screen. You can use that to raise your hand, and we will see that your hand's raised and call on you at the first opportunity that we have. So just kind of go over that again real quick. Otherwise, let's go ahead and jump into old business. We have some additional info we're able to collect on the Red Tiger Investments LLC proposal for the COVID-19 impact study. And we have reviewed that, and I guess we can start out with one of you guys if you guys want to go ahead and talk more about some of the stuff you sent over. So, Sean, I believe. And I asked, you there?
Yeah. Sean, can you hear me? Great. So, yeah, what we tried to do is be responsive to the feedback that we received last week. So we sent an Excel spreadsheet over. The first tab, what we did is we broke down each phase line by line. So we have line items on there of the work that we would do. We've estimated our fee for that, for each line item, as well as what we project as being the time spent hour-wise on each of those phases, as well as who would be leading that, if it's going to be Red Tiger or Kohler Experience Institute. So after doing that, we've summarized it at the bottom, and the total being $49,350 for the report. The second tab, what we did was we provided examples of projects that both Red Tiger and Kohler both have done. We try to pick comparable projects. I mean, there's nothing exactly comparable to this, but what we did was try to pick comparable projects, talked about what services for each of those projects we provided, the cost for those projects, who the client was for the projects, the actual deliverable. We also provided links to each one of those projects that showed the deliverable, if it were a master plan or whatever strategic plan, as well as provided results of outcomes from those strategic plans. So that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions, go into any details about anything that we provided.
Thank you, Sean. This is really great. As far from my viewpoint, this is really great. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of the information I was hoping to see. Bonnie, how do you feel about it?
Well, I think at least now we have something to look at in black and white and see the numbers for what each aspect of this would be, where before, I don't think we had a real understanding of what it was going to be, Nick.
Yeah, I agree. Alan, what do you think?
I think it's a fairly detailed list of deliverables as well as, some.
Can't hear you, Alan.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, definitely now.
I was in the back room. Sorry, guys. No, I just think it gives us a whole lot more detail about exactly what the deliverables will be, and gives a yardstick of other projects they've worked on, so that we have an idea of what the costs are and the similarities are. The other thing is that as far as backing up the due diligence on this, I think we've got paperwork that shows that that we went the extra mile to make sure that the dollar was correct.
Yeah, I agree. Anybody from the public? Oh, here. Let's see. Mark Can. You there?
Thanks, Nick. First of all, I was kind of mean to you guys last week, so I apologize.
We're used to it, Mark.
I wasn't trying to be mean. I just trying to understand, because I hadn't seen the proposal. I've looked at the proposal and I've got just a couple of questions. On the timeline and process, Sean, you're showing 40 business days. At least that's in the proposal on page number 10. But then when I get back to the back and you're doing all the work to get to a township visioning meeting, that's only 15 business days. So I guess my question is, how are you going to compile all this data and do all this stuff to get to a visioning meeting in only 15 days?
Well, it's aggressive, but we are going to have to devote the time and resources to doing that. The township visioning meeting is going to be led by Kohler. Maybe Kelly, can you maybe give a little bit more detail to that if you're on?
Yeah. Yep. So can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah. So what we run these visioning sessions all the time. We've completely converted them to the DigiFiz, digital physical world. So we're using a free software program called Miro, and all of our work and pre-work and invitations and everything will all be done digitally as a part of how the township normally communicates with its citizens, as a part of that open format. Because of the time frame and with the holiday and looking at the amount of window that we have, we may end up running 2 or 3 smaller sessions. So we might do it on like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to give people more opportunities to participate, so we can make sure that we get a broad spectrum of that. So the visioning sessions can be the same type of visioning session, but run a couple of times to make sure that we can reach as many people as possible to participate in the workshops. So we do that all the time. We usually give about a 10-day notice. Again, a PDF, we'll do an invitation, and we'll work with all of the partners here and the township to get that communication plan out to them. And then we'll obviously continue to promote that, and usually things kind of through social media and through the digital activation. We usually are able to really, really gather a significant amount of participation. So we have to obviously do the visioning session as a part of the overall overlay of the economic development and the data gathering and the analytics. So we've got survey and visioning session. They can happen in parallel paths, as well as Sean at the same time. It's not linear necessarily. Sean can also be working on the economic development analysis of the properties themselves and the stakeholder interviews and really understanding where those opportunity areas are. So because we have an interdisciplinary team, we can actually run these things concurrently at the same time. So I don't know if that helped answer your question or not.
So are you doing live? Is this, by mail, by phone, by Zoom, feet on the street? How are you gathering this information from the business owners, the landlords, the residents, the business customers? How are you doing all that stuff?
Yeah, we do survey analytics all the time. We do a combination of paper. We also do the secret shopper type of observation, as well as we'll observe how people are actually using the business districts as well as the individual businesses, as we start to see where some of the hot spots are, as well as some of the higher traffic areas. So we'll look at traffic counts from your roadway study. We'll look at the history of all of the past reports that you have had done. We'll consolidate those together and we'll create our own KPI lens. And then we'll begin to do our analysis through a combination of digital and physical, as well as paper. So we probably will distribute to those businesses a paper survey as well. And we'll have a QR code on there. People can, with their smartphone, they don't have to touch anything. So I was just up in Chicago for 3 days with Fifth Third Bank, and we ran a completely digital interface with customers there. So we'll probably do a combination of boots on the ground to encourage people to participate, as well as a paper survey, as well as a QR code survey, as well as amplifying it out through our social media strategies with the township to the residents.
So you're going to get all that done in 15 days, am I correct?
Yeah, we do that all the time. We do that all the time.
Kelly, just to back up real quick and linger a little bit on the
Sure.
idea of the time frame and stuff like that. I was talking to Loretta earlier, and I could be completely wrong, but my interpretation was there would be some kind of incremental billing where you kind of bill us for things as you complete it, and if we don't complete certain aspects of the project or whatever, of course we wouldn't be charged, right?
100%. I mean, when we estimated that 15-day time frame, that was already now last week when we were at that moment submitting this. Obviously, we've lost 4 business days here today as well. But we do typically do a lot of this work within about 3 days of time frame. So it's targeted. I'm hoping that we have a great digital list. We haven't talked to the administration here yet about how to communicate with the residents and the citizens, but obviously we know with the business association we have some work there, and then of course we have the boots on the street. That's why we're all faculty at University of Cincinnati. We've got armies of interns to help us and support us in the work that we do. So we pretty much kind of hit it, and it's actually great timing that it's right around Thanksgiving time, because I was thinking about the traffic counts and how different the traffic counts would be. We're seeing quite a significant retail traffic count in the different business districts throughout the region, compared, for example, to what it was back in March and April of this year. So a lot of our clients are reporting close back to 65% return to business traffic, to business counts, as in traffic as in their business, not traffic, roadway traffic, but traffic in their stores. And so it'll be interesting to see what how this holiday kind of season and this opportunity area that we have before us, to see how well we're doing. And of course, the COVID impact continues, hopefully, staying, not going to purple and not spiking worse, but it'll be interesting to see where the pockets are and the pulses of business, and how well the business owners are doing during this time. And if there is a holiday increase or not, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Right. And Kelly, I would point out, if you look at the proposal, page 14, section 5.02, we specifically state that client will only be responsible for compensating consultants' work that is completed and billed in 2020. We will have the deliverable done by the end of the year. I think everybody has to keep in mind what's also driving this aggressive timeline is so you can use the CARES Act money towards this, because the requirement is that it has to be completed by the end of the year. However, one of the things that we also put in the proposal was upon completion of the Economic Development Strategy Recovery Plan, that would be the written hard deliverable that summarizes all the information. We're giving you the first 2 months of the year and up to multiple meetings to make sure to review the plan with you, and to make sure we have any adjustments or modifications that you need at no additional cost to the client. So we understand that this is an aggressive timeline, but it really is being driven by the requirements in order to use the CARES Act money. But we're confident that we can gather the information that we need and have it in that final study by the end of the year. But keeping in mind that we have given 2 months to make sure that you understand everything that's presented and you're comfortable with everything that's presented.
All right, thanks, Sean. So for tonight, do we have a motion? Well, I guess, do we have any other comment? I'm not seeing any other raised hands on this topic. So do we have a motion on the agenda, or do we need a motion to go ahead with this if
Mark
we'd like to
Pan
go?
has his hand raised again, Nick.
Oh, Mark. Mark, you there?
I am now. I don't want to dominate things here. I still have some concerns about it. My only concern, I guess I have a couple of concerns. I don't know. It seems like it's a lopsided, lopsided economic development plan. You're just doing one side of a corridor. And I know the Batavia Township trustees aren't engaged in this thing, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. I mean, I'm concerned that we're going to get quality data. I'm assuming that we'll get quality data, but it's for one side of the corridor. And, a comprehensive study would entail both sides of the corridor. I understand it's free money. I understand the timing. I understand all that kind of stuff. What I want to ensure, if you're going to do this, is that it's money well spent and we're going to get a quality product out of it that somehow we can use. And then I think beyond that, you're going to have to manage expectations of the folks on the peer side of Amelia that once the plan is developed, things ain't going to start changing overnight. I mean, this is really just a vision, a dream, a wish list, whatever you want to call it. I understand it's a plan, but things aren't going to happen immediately. And we've been down this road before and we didn't do too good on it. So I just don't want us to make the same mistakes that we did 5 years ago. So I'll be quiet.
Thanks, Mark. Well, I'll let you guys want to respond to that at all? Or I know you talked a lot about it.
Loretta here, if I could clarify, my understanding was that it will still include both sides of the business corridor on 125. We can't cut one off. And I did also share this proposal with the administrator in Batavia Township and invited her to share with her trustees, but I just sent it to her yesterday.
And that is our understanding, Loretta, as well, that we would be doing both sides of the corridor and specifically focusing on really the corridor and what were the boundaries of the city of Amelia.
Ask elements of what Mark stated. I had similar apprehensions too, but I did like the results column that you guys put on the spreadsheet, and you can see, other projects you've done, ODOT funding, resulting in some tangible rubber meets the road type results. So, I did feel a lot better about that after the last meeting. I think some of this is proven, and having a plan will hopefully equate to some real life type results.
That's the goal.
You guys know more about that than me. I don't. That's where us boneheads have a hard time. Oh, Mark, we got, let's see. Mark, you there?
Yeah, just one more comment about Batavia Township. Loretta, you may have forwarded that over to Adele. I get that, but I talked to the trustees last night and they're not on board with it. So if they're not on board with it, don't expect any kind of resources or participation from that side of the corridor. So that's my last thing.
All right, thanks, Mark. I guess that'll be, I think a lot of the statistics and data that you guys gather though should be useful regardless, right?
Exactly. And I mean, and obviously it's up to each individual business owner as well, no matter what township they're in, for them to participate in a win-win strategy to try to drive more traffic to their stores and come out with some ideas and some vision that can help them start to come back from the COVID impact. So I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the citizens and the boots on the ground and the people that actually live and drive and play and really are trying to, you know, move from survive to thrive in this business district. So while it's unfortunate to hear that is the tone or the initial thinking of the trustees, hopefully the business owners, and me being an entrepreneur myself and being a business owner, pretty much boots on the ground, people are really open to telling you what they think, what they need, and really where they want to go. So we've had just great experience with engaging, you know, the community on the real, you know, ground level. So I hope that the trustees' lack of interest is actually combated by the excitement and the energy and the participation of the actual business owners in the district.
If I could add one other thing to that, is just that we can't, I mean, you are accustomed to dealing with artificial boundaries, because when you're talking about economic development, it's a regional strategy.
Yep.
It doesn't stop at jurisdictional boundaries.
Correct. Because nobody even knows that, what you told me. I mean, I've driven there, you know, I've been to this place 1,000 times, and I never knew that that there was a dividing line there. It's one of those, it's a you know, from a folksonomy perspective, from a regionalism perspective, it's perceived as one.
I think it's important to add too, one of the fundamental initiatives I'll be undertaking is looking at what present the best opportunities to activate the corridor. And I can assure you, without even doing a tremendous amount of research yet, that premier site in that project that was stopped is an opportunity. And so I guarantee you there will be, as a recommendation, an approach for that site and how to hopefully turn that maybe perceived negative into a positive.
All right, thanks, Sean. Yeah, I think those are important ideas, and hopefully at Batavia Township, I think they're good folks over there. We'll be able to leverage them as well as time moves on more to kind of comprehensively approach this in a positive sum game way. We have enough negative sum and zero sum approaches going on right now, I feel like.
It's not that atypical for municipalities. You know, I've been working on the Aero Hub project in Evendale for years, and we're working with all the neighbors there, and you have very diverse municipalities. You have Evendale, you have Woodlawn, Lincoln Heights, Sharonville, Glendale. So we are accustomed to working with municipalities that may not see eye to eye right away. And that's hopefully through this process, we can begin to help bring about some synergies between the two, and hopefully with Batavia, with the adjoining township.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. To be sure, we get along great with Batavia Township for the most part, so it's not like there's any kind of adversarial relationship.
No, I just meant it's aligning objectives, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I gotcha. All right, Mark, you had your hand raised again.
I just wanted to say that if you guys were able to work successfully with Dave Elmer over there in Evendale, then you're probably pretty good. So I'll let that go with that.
Well, that's as good as it gets, guys. We better. Is from Mark. All right. Anything else, Mark? All right. Let's go ahead. I don't see any other comments. So again, do we need a motion? I don't think we have one on the agenda, or do we, Debbie?
We tabled the last motion that Eddie did. Do you want to use that same motion that we tabled?
Yeah, there was a slight adjustment, I thought, in the amount. It started at
Yes.
not to exceed 60, but it dropped to not to exceed 50, right?
Uh-huh. It sure
And the
did.
more precise number you guys had on yours was like 49 and a half or something, right?
49,350.
It ended up being, 49,350.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I personally, I feel pretty good about a lot of the information that was provided. Do you guys want to go ahead and entertain that motion?
So moved.
He's back.
Oh, man.
So moved.
Louise. I will second that. And Sean, thank you for the information you sent. It was a big help and it answered a lot of my questions.
Right. Well, thank you for the opportunity.
All right.
Oh,
So Nick, you don't want that motion read again?
You go ahead and read it again, I guess, be sure.
Okay. This is coming from Eddie, okay? Planning and Zoning Administrator Eddie McCarthy requests consideration of a motion to accept proposal from Red Tiger Investments LLC in the amount of $49,350 to study this COVID-19 impact and gather baseline data and solutions for Pierce Township, Amelia Neighborhood Business District using CARES Act funding.
Thanks, Debbie.
Okay. Thank you.
So we had a motion and a second.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Batchelor,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Alan, can I ask you a question real quick?
Nope.
I'll reach through there and punch you in the nose. The
She's
one
found another way. She's found another way to hurt me.
I know, it took me a long time to come up with this one too. This 125 corridor study that was done.
Yeah.
This work hand in hand with what this information that will be given back to us.
They'll click together. So it'll all be one report when it's finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you able to hear that?
Yeah.
Were you able to hear that? Because I'm having trouble with my microphone tonight.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Not when you're in the other room, though.
Yeah, not when you're in the kitchen.
I was here the whole time. I was here.
Yeah.
I was just kind of slouched. I was slouched down. That's what it was.
Take a nap.
I need one.
All right. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate your time too.
So Sean and Kelly, get off this call and get to work.
Great. Thank you. And we will, we'll be in touch tomorrow.
That
All
works.
right.
Boots on
Ready
the
to
ground.
go.
Boots
Okay.
on the ground.
Send us a W-9.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks. All right, hopping into Village of Amelia updates. Since it's volleyed between attorneys at this point, Tom, do you want to start that off?
Yes, I do. There's a major announcement, and that's that late this afternoon, the judge made a final decision on the declaratory judgment. The judge issued a ruling that it's about 12 or 13 pages long, but his decision is that the outgoing officials will remain in office. That's Mr. Hart, Ms. Rumpke, and Mr. Height, and they will be the representatives who are seated to represent the Village of Amelia. And rather than confuse people with summarizing his the logic that the judge used, I'll just summarize it by saying that he ruled that the village went out of existence on November 25th. So the newly elected people didn't have a seat or a village to be appointed to take the place in their elected spots. So therefore the old stay in office, and that's the judge's decision. He also ruled that the village income tax is legal and that the village did have standing to file the declaratory judgment. So that is a full and final decision that was just issued late this afternoon.
What judge was that?
Judge Brock.
Okay.
Tom, what was that very last part you mentioned that,
Well, there was a third, what I call a side issue, and that was the question about whether Kathy Ryan had standing to file the declaratory judgment. She filed it on behalf of herself as a citizen of Ohio, and secondly, she filed it on behalf of the village itself. And the judge ruled that yes, she had the authority to file that. And the main reason he said that is because the incoming officials filed the identical declaratory judgment themselves. So each side filed the same declaratory judgment. So he said that she did have the authority and the standing to file it.
Tom, I just want to understand that piece of it. Not that I disagree or agree, but how do you reconcile the dichotomy of I'm putting it in as for myself as a citizen and on behalf of the village simultaneously? I don't understand that part.
Well, she filed it as law director. It's called the state ex rel Kathy Ryan. It means the state outside through the relationship with one of its citizens, Kathy Ryan, as a plaintiff, because she is the law director. The second way she filed it was as law director of the village. So the village itself was the party. So that's why she filed it two ways. And the judge essentially said he doesn't have to decide which way she has standing. She has it either way or both ways. It doesn't matter, that he has the case and he's going to rule.
So does he see the village as kind of a snapshot in time at the moment it was voted on to be dissolved? Is that the gist of it? So Kathy Ryan was the law person and these.
Yes, Kathy was the law director on November 25 when the Board of Elections certified the decision. And the other people were in office on November 25 when the Board of Elections certified the election decision. But I haven't studied it. I just looked at it once, so I can't answer in-depth questions, but that is what he said. Yeah. So that should, unless somebody wants to go through with any of the mediation, which is scheduled for all day next Monday, I don't know that there's a reason for any mediation at this point. And it seems to me that based on the decision, the people who are supposed to be in office should probably take their seats and get the income tax wiped out and do the other things.
So that was my question. The next step, obviously, seat him, wipe out the income tax, presumably. And what are the other things?
Well, there's about 10 other things they have to do. Pay debts, all those other things, transfer the assets. I think I counted about 11 or 12 ordinances they'll have to pass. But the main one is the income tax. Everything else after that is the easy, I'll call it easy stuff.
Small stuff, paying debts, paying bills, those types
Yes.
of things. There's nothing else in your mind that you saw as significant amongst those remaining 11 items?
No, it's mostly paying debts, but it's like a 10 or 11 different specific debts. They have to pay those. They have to also resolve that employee lawsuit, which has been sitting since January. The former employees who sued saying they were entitled to be hired on a contract basis for 1 year after the dissolution of the village. That case has been stopped in its tracks.
So maybe I won't get yelled at anymore about the tax.
Maybe not, no.
So when you say that the employee's lawsuit's been stopped in its tracks, what does that mean?
Well, I mean that there's been no way for that case to proceed. There's been no one to defend it because the plaintiffs wanted to push it, and the judge who has that case assigned to it was willing to allow it to be pushed. But then the question of who is representing the defendants was raised, and the answer became, we don't know who's representing the defendants. We don't know who's representing the village because we don't know who the council members are. So in order to settle that case, if it's going to be settled or fought in court, there has to be a village council that authorizes that.
So that case could hold everything up.
I think it could hold up the piece of it that represents that dollar amount in controversy. Yes. Yes.
So we couldn't close the books on Amelia until that case is closed. So what happens to the tax while that case is being worked through?
My prediction is the village council would eliminate the tax the minute they are seated. That would be ordinance number 1.
Let's
Then
hope.
everything after that is a matter of paying the debts. And then the last one would apparently be to resolve that case, or to fight it and win, or fight it and lose in court.
That piece is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, the village had filed a very strong motion to dismiss that case as soon as it was filed. And it was a very well-reasoned, very logical argument. But the judge didn't have a chance to rule on it because, again, that case stopped in its tracks. Stopped.
Well, from our perspective, it's something that's going to drag things out, and we have to keep paying you guys. It's not good.
I agree.
Your group, Tom.
Yeah. Profession.
It's not so much his group, it's like his kind. I mean, that's really the problem. The kind.
That's what came through my head first, and I was like, I don't know how that sounds. Yeah. But thank you, Alan.
Right.
Anytime I can rip on a lawyer, I'm happy to do so. Really.
We've noticed that, Alan. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Renee has her hand up. Let's see. Renee, you there?
Unfortunately, I am. I just want to reassure y'all we are not going to appeal this ruling, mainly because it's time for our residents to stop this tax. And it was a very hard blow, but it was one we knew that was coming. But I know there's some residents on here, and I hope going forward, now that I'm no longer represented by legal counsel, that we can have a conversation. Nick, especially, you know, since you wanted to get together, and this needs to go to the House in Ohio to get this rectified. Mainly because the attorneys for the village, not you, Tom, and spent over, I don't know what the last count was, but hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight us not being in office. And I think that's a travesty for our residents. And at the same time, Todd being paid all this money to sit at home and do nothing. So I want you guys to know our fight's not over, and I will continue to represent the residents like I always do on here. And I hope, you guys approving the corridor study and stuff is a big step, including us into Pierce Township. I'm trying to hold it together. I really am. But, I thank you guys for your support. It's been a long, long year, and we're not stopping. So, plan on Wake Up Amelia being on your butts as much as we were Todd's. So, I just hope at some point coming soon that there's no more talk about the village and Pierce, that we're all one community. And that's really all I wanted to say. So
Renee, let me say this. I've always looked at it as residents of Pierce Township, not the two separate entities. So you are Pierce Township residents, and I think that's the way we all view it. We just have to work through the rest of this and get it put to bed soon.
Right. I agree. And I'm here to help. I hope that, when this corridor study starts and they need to meet with residents, they y'all will include me so I can get the residents there and to voice their opinions. But like I said, it's been a long road. I know I've been a pain in your guys' butt too. but I do it for the right reasons. And, Todd Hart's going to have to live with this the rest of his life that he dissolved this village on their actions. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm the mayor, Tim is a council member, and Don is a council member. So that's all I wanted to say. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, Renee. I agree. Couldn't agree more with Bonnie. You guys are residents of Pierce. You always have been, and we'll represent. I will represent you accordingly, and I'm sure my colleagues agree. I think it's great that you guys have a network over there too. It worked out really good, like with the last Parks meeting, that we were able to get that feedback, that you were able to put it out on Wake Up Amelia, and we were able to get some really good quality input to the Parks Committee and kind of work collaboratively in that way. And you guys, in addition to staying on our butts, that's fine, but you better get used to some more collaboration and working together than what you were used to before.
Right. And I know with us being represented, it was hard to talk, and I'm sure you guys were told not to, that we couldn't communicate. And I hope that now that that's over, that we can have some open dialogue. Before this all started, I think Alan and I had a good rapport, as you and I, Nick, and, Bonnie, when we see each other in Kroger's, we have a 45-minute conversation.
Let the ice cream melt, right?
Right. Well, that's the best conversations in Kroger's. But it's hard for us, and it's hard for especially with what's going on today, that people here don't feel like that their vote was counted, and what they've thought all along has come to fruition yet again, and that they won. But as far as I'm concerned, we've won, and we win by being here every week to represent our residents when other people have not been here. And going forward, I hope to mainstream that conversation. And now I want to start to get ready to go up to the House to make sure this doesn't happen again. They've milked the residents for a year, and I just don't think that's fair. I really just, that's what irritates me, is that our tax money, my tax money went to fight me, yet I had to get a lawyer. So I don't know how that happens, but going forward, we'll just move forward and see what happens.
Well, Renee, I've got an update for you on the state legislature as well. And
Good.
so the good thing is that the fight can continue, because I had an opportunity to speak to Senator Johnson and Senator Huffman. Senator Huffman's going to be the next president of the Ohio Senate. Expressed that there's need for legislation to cure this kind of problem so it doesn't happen again. They were very interested in having a further conversation. Of course, they just got reelected last week. So, so they said, give me some time to breathe, and then we'll set up some meetings. So Renee, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to drag your butt up to Columbus with me.
I'm ready to go.
So we're going to go knock on some doors. I also talked to the Ohio Township Association. They've been reaching out to Auditor Faber's office, of all places, and they're working on a draft of some language to help us take that to the state legislature. So when I get a copy of whatever Faber cooks up, I'm going to share it with you and with the rest of this board, of course. But so you guys can see what it looks like and give your 2 cents worth, and then we can take it from there and turn it into legislation and go out and go for
Absolutely.
it.
That needs to be done, because you know better than anybody, Alan.
So yeah, the groundwork is being laid for that next fight. So I'm going to keep you in the loop on that.
Absolutely.
And I also want to thank Pete Campbellis. He's the one who helped open the opportunity to have that conversation.
Thank you again, all of you. I appreciate you letting me get on here and ramble on and on all the time. And I'm sorry I lost my composure, but I think I'm owed at least one time.
Don't worry. Don't worry, Renee. Nick lets me get on here and ramble all the time too. So
hey, Barbie, if it's any consolation, if we go to Columbus, I'll kick him under the table.
Oh,
somebody's got to do it.
Nice.
Exactly.
Nice.
Thanks.
Thank you, Renee. All right, Mark. You there?
Yeah, well, speaking of people, that can't keep their mouth shut, I got to jump in here. Renee, the rest of us in Pierce Township, we got your back. Don't worry. You're not outsiders. We're all family here. In fact, I'm related to half the damn people in Amelia, so I got to be careful. I got to, stand with you. So we got your back on that. You're a trooper. You got to get me into your Wake Up America website. I applied yesterday or the day before or something, so get me in on that, please. And then I got another question as a resident.
Mark, real quick, it's Wake Up Amelia, so that might not be why you're not getting a response.
What did I say?
Wake Up America.
Well, America, Amelia, whatever, Anyhow, where do we stand on the $10,000 a month light bill? And how much is Pierce responsible for on that $10,000 a month light bill? And how's that all going to be worked out?
Loretta, do you want to start with where we're at on looking into that?
Well, right now, we're not paying it. As long as Amelia still exists and they're collecting revenues, that is one of the ongoing bills that they're continuing to pay. But we just had a conversation with the law director about whether there are any alternatives to the township either not funding it or finding a way to fund the cost of the energy to keep those streetlights on. The ODOT right of way on the 125 corridor between Eddie and Adele and I, we're looking at which lights are critical to be kept, whether some can be removed and certain critical intersections maintained in lighting that the township would accept, as well as other township related streets and intersections and county roads. So we'll look at them separately from subdivision lighting. And one of the possibilities is a petition process to accept an assessment the way that we have in Legendary Run. That is one way that the residents then that benefit from specific lighting can keep the lights on by accepting an assessment of that cost. But there are many steps to be taken in order to even consider that. And this is a subject that we didn't believe that we had a tool to remedy, but it was just recently that our law director found a possibility of us using that tool. So.
Yeah, you want me to add to that, Nick?
Yeah.
My research previously was that the petitions that are addressed in the Ohio Revised Code for lighting all reference the construction of lighting, the building of the light poles and the installation of lighting. But Loretta asked me to dig a little deeper, and I did find something else that references, in a different section, references the ability to have a lighting district where it's to maintain and operate. And that means, if it means what I think it says, that the citizens of the former village of Amelia could possibly sign petitions asking for that they be assessed the cost to pay for the operation of those lights. So that's a possibility that's now popped up.
All right, thanks, Loretta and Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, I think we're still looking into it, is what it sounds like, our options.
Yeah, digging.
All right.
Let's move on.
I'm okay with that, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you. Mark, let's see, other comments? I don't see any other raised hands on that. We'll go ahead and hop into new business. Debbie?
Okay. I request a motion for approval of payment of the payroll for the month of October 2020 in the amount of $375,320.04.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs.
Roll.
Batchelor,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
I request a motion for approval of the payment of the bills for the month of October 2020 in the amount of $304,373.68.
So moved.
I will second.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Batchelor,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
I request a motion to approve the renewal of the administrator's employment agreement and authorization of a wage increase equal to December 2019. Increase granted non-union administrative employees 3%, retroactive to July 26, 2020.
So moved.
Seconded. I was just reading it, trying to make sure. It looked like there were two different things coming together there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's hard to see on Zoom. That's the detraction of not being in person.
And being old.
Mrs. Batchelor,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
That's all I got.
No one more thing?
Not yet. I might.
Well, no.
You know me. I always pull something out.
Chief Wright.
Good evening. I request a motion to accept the resignation of full-time firefighter paramedic Anthony Dryden, effective October 26, 2020 at 1,300 hours.
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Batchelor,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you. I request a motion to purchase 4 4G cardiac transmission modems from Stryker in the amount of $3,615.
So moved.
Second.
Are those getting cheaper?
So we currently have those modems. They're for our EKG monitors. It gives our staff the ability to transmit EKGs from the field to the hospital. It helps with patient care when we get to the hospital. Our current ones were given to us by some of our local hospitals, and they're on the 3G network, which is being discontinued. So they have come down from what they used to be.
I gotcha. All right. Roll call, Debbie.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Batchelor,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you. I have 2 more motions for hires. I know typically we bring our hires to the meeting, swear them in, get some pictures done. I talked to Mr. Kelly, I think last week. I was afraid it was going to be a little awkward to do it in this format, and I didn't know how well it would go. So we're going to do the motions tonight and then get with Mr. Kelly at a date that works for our new employees, and do their swearing in person. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I request a motion to approve the appointment of Ryan Fogel as a full-time firefighter paramedic at the established rate pending successful completion of all pre-employment requirements, obtaining certification as Ohio Fire Safety Inspector, and serving a 1-year probationary period, noting that all associated expenses be that of the township.
So moved. I got there first.
Alan got it.
Photo finish. Have a second?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Batchelor,
Yeah.
and Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. I request a motion to approve the appointment, and I apologize, there's a typo. It should be Dylan Rains, not Justin, as a full-time firefighter paramedic at the established rate pending successful completion of all pre-employment requirements, obtaining certification as Ohio Fire Safety Inspector, and serving a 1-year probationary period, noting that all associated expenses be that of the township.
So if we approve this now, is there a Justin Rains out there that thinks he's rightfully entitled to this?
Brother.
I think his name's Dylan James Rains, and I think just with the rush of trying to get everything together and we fast-tracked getting this ready for tonight, it was just an error in typing it. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure there was a verbal adjustment was fine, and Justin's not going to come in and.
Yes, no Justin that I'm aware of.
Justin reports for work on Monday, and you're
Pulls
You're
out
gonna feel
a-
really bad. You're gonna feel really bad, Chief.
I would be happy to have the additional help.
All right, I'm sorry. We had a motion, I think.
Yes. Mrs.
Did we?
Batchor,
Yeah,
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you very much and welcome to our new folks. And I will get you introduced to them as soon as I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Wright. Okay, Loretta.
Thank you. I request a motion to authorize an amendment to the contract with Rumpke of Ohio Incorporated effective January 1, 2021 to incorporate all Pierce Township residential units formerly in the Village of Amelia under the same terms and conditions as the existing collection contract to be paid for by the Pierce Township waste levy. That's assuming that there is no question that in January we will begin to collect our waste levy, that Amelia will be assessed.
Well,
Former Amelia territory.
The tax commissioners already said that taxes, Pierce Township taxes will be collected in January.
Yes.
Right, Tom?
Right, they said it.
So there shouldn't be, did they say it in writing?
Yeah, that's
The county auditor had given us an estimate. Of course, that was before the declaratory judgment decision. So I had some current concerns if things were not resolved by the end of the year, whether there was any provision that would stop that. But I'm going by faith, but we do have until January. And but we won't actually have any revenue until the first settlement payment, the first quarter of next year, correct, Debbie?
Yes.
so Loretta, what service did the village have?
It was Rumpke also. It's very, very similar with the cans that have already been provided.
Okay.
We just don't have, our contract is a little less expensive than what they had been paying, but our waste levy covers the pickup of trash in parks. And as you know, there are other expenses that are also covered under our waste levy. So it's not just purely the cost per unit to pick up their trash, but it does include the recycling. I think the recycling wasn't every week before. Ours is weekly. The large item is one large item, a week that's included in ours. So we'll need to make sure that they'll be directed to look at our garbage collection rules after January. And there won't be any extra junk days because there's this regular collection of large items that we have under our current contract.
Okay.
Renee, I think it might also be worth, if you're so inclined, to get a copy of our Rumpke agreement, because I think in a lot of ways the service that you get under us is going to be better, but it's going to.
It seems like.
So you're going to get, you're not going to get the junk days, but you're going to get large item pickup essentially whenever you want. You just have to give them 48 hours notice, and they'll come get big stuff. They'll get yard waste and debris if it's bundled in a certain way. So.
Okay.
If you want to read through that, and then maybe you could help us out a little with making sure that we get that information out so people understand the difference. And I think it's a good difference, but it's going to be different.
Absolutely, because recycling right now is only twice a week. Usually if we put out one large item, they'll take it depending. But I think the yard waste at this time of the year is going to be, not that it'll happen before, but is going to be extra or be great too, because the village used to pick it up. So I think those are great. If Loretta, can you send me that contract so I can read through and let people know?
Yeah, I'll scan it. Just make sure they know it doesn't take effect until January. And if you would give me until day after tomorrow, that would be great.
Oh my gosh.
By the end of the week. Is that okay?
Yes, I'll give you to the end of the week.
And Renee, can I correct you? You said recycling twice a week. You meant twice a month, right?
Oh, twice a month. Yeah, I did.
I didn't want to confuse you.
Bonnie.
Didn't we do a write-up at one point for the earlier on before Amelia came into Pierce? Didn't we do a write-up about exactly what services residents get?
Yes, it's on our website, and also there was a postcard that was mailed out at one point by Rumpke, and that postcard is posted on our website too.
Can we just
Okay,
get that?
I can give her a link to it.
Yeah, and then that way she can post that up on Wake Up Amelia, and they can, rather than wade through the contract and every codicil and, they
Yeah,
can
I'm
just,
about contract and legaled out for the time being.
Oh, I think Renee definitely wants to see the contract.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
sure
she-
I do.
I thought she
she
would
can have that too.
I was
She
going to
can,
deprive her of that pleasure, Alan.
You got,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I wasn't trying to do that. I was just giving her I was like giving her the Cliff's Notes,
You guys weren't kidding when you said you were going to include me. I didn't know I was going to have to read contracts and all this good stuff.
It's that the services part of that contract is actually in a pretty concise area. So once you get to that, it'll
Okay.
pretty,
Yeah, I will put that out. I think people are going to be happy about that.
So that is my request for a motion. I don't know if we actually had
We did
people
not.
make it.
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Bachelor,
yes,
Mr. Kelly.
yes. All right. Mr. McCarthy.
I request a motion to extend the transitional residential district moratorium until February 28th, 2021, per resolution 2020-019, initiating a zoning moratorium for real property located in Pierce Township in the vicinity of the former Amelia Village.
Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Eddie, is this thing a dinosaur?
What do you mean, the TR district, or
Yeah.
just as far as has it outlived its utility? Is that what you're kind of?
I mean, we've got zoning and it's zoning and it's zoning. I mean, should there be a transitional zoning anymore, given the fact that it's now zoned exactly like Pierce? Why do we keep hanging on to the TR?
The TR district was basically our buffer around the village. It wasn't
I know that, but they're gone.
right. The where we are right now in the process is the staff report and the application to rezone the entirety of the TR district to single family residential needs time to be initiated. So the application is being initiated in the beginning of December, and then it'll go through the planning commission and 2 public hearings. So that's the recommendation. The recommendation is to rezone all of it to single family residential.
Okay.
I'm assuming too, Eddie, like a lot of this stuff, maybe not this in particular as far as having to wait for, but is still I wouldn't say contingent. It still ties in with our universal land use plan that we're, I guess, working on. What's the time frame on that?
On the land use plan?
Yeah.
There really is not a formal timeline in place right now. Whenever I get time, I've been roughing in a framework and putting items together. My recommendation at this point would be, once we have the 2020 census completed, that's a massive amount of information that's going to tell us a lot about what our community looks like, and then from there be able to extrapolate further. But with the 125 corridor study and the Red Tiger project kind of getting online right now, those appear to be kind of projects that are just in front of the line right now. But the 125 corridor is or the land use plan is a top priority nonetheless.
Yeah, I understand that. I just feel that all that stuff's important. And yeah, we probably should wait or collect some more information, but it's like there's going to be good times and maybe times that are better than others to institute and move forward with a land use plan, but there will never be a perfect time. And you could always say, well, I'm going to wait for this or that other piece of information. But, I just think it's something that in some kind of near term that we kind of solidify, as it will help us make a lot of other decisions.
Yeah, I agree.
I tend to agree, and I think we are going to have to start, really looking into revamping it and really start to dig in on it. I'm still confused about the TR though. If I'm a person that wants to do a project and I'm on Locust Lake, for instance, what zoning am I operating off of? So, I mean, if we've got the TR in place and I want to put a factory there, that right now it could go there for all intents and purposes, right?
No, so there's a moratorium in place right now that would restrict.
No, I know. But we
Right.
keep putting the moratorium, we keep kicking the TR down the road. My question is, and maybe this Amelia study will help answer that question, because then we know what we want and it's okay to go with single family residential in that area. But I'm just wondering, can we get ourselves into a bind? I know the moratorium is in place at the moment, but I mean, it's taken us a long time to keep, when did the moratorium this time run out?
Let me just ask, is it not in the zoning process now? The zoning commission has discussed it and initiated changes that still need to go to the trustees for consideration, right? Because the TR district was still a Pierce zoning district. It wasn't an Amelia district. It was already a Pierce district.
Understood.
Yeah. So at this point, though, I think it is going through the zoning process with the zoning commission, because the zoning commission actually initiated this process. Is that correct, Eddie?
Yeah. So what initially happened was the zoning commission requested that we begin the process of removing, evaluating, modifying the TR district. And that's what happened over the past couple months here when we met on this project. And so we've gotten to the point now where the last meeting that they had, they made the recommendation to completely rezone the TR to single family residential. And so in order to do that, we need a new block of time in order to meet the statutory requirements for advertising and getting that district removed, which requires us to send a formal application to the county and then hold both a zoning commission public hearing and then a trustee public hearing. But part of that process was doing our due diligence, having the meetings to really work out and say, okay, let's comb through these lots. Let's see what actually happened, because one of the significant discussions that we had was Hickory and a couple other, well, Hickory is a good example. Hickory was developed under the TR standards, and they're very small lots. And we went back and forth quite a bit, just trying to determine, look, are we going to put the single family residential on this? Weighing the pros and the cons. And so it took us some time to go back and forth to make sure that first we were doing no harm before we went ahead. And then also making sure that we weren't missing anything. So, we're exactly on schedule with how we initially planned this out. We figured it might take 1 or 2 meetings. And that puts us with the moratorium expiring on the 22nd of this month. So it hasn't even expired yet, but the application will be formally initiated December 1st. And so that's when the zoning commission kind of makes that formal motion and says, send it off and just, get the ball rolling, sort of deal, to kind of, to your point, as far as just getting it off the board.
Okay, well, thanks for the clarification. I second.
Are we done?
We have a second.
Mrs. Batchelor?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
And Mr. Kelly?
Yes. All right, thanks, Mr. McCarthy. Departmental celebrations, police. Chief Bachman.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, Eddie, you got something to put on the screen for me?
Yep, yeah, just give me 1 second here.
All right. So we had our DEA National Prescription Take Back Day on October 24th, and Pierce Township brought in 188.9 pounds of prescription medication to be destroyed, which is a large amount. Our celebratory event is not really Pierce, but the state of Ohio. If you look at what Eddie's putting up, let me see what that is. That enlarges. Okay, if you look at the participants, the state of Ohio has 233 police departments, which is second only to Wisconsin there, which is kind of neat to see. I mean, we're not by any means one of the larger states, but the police departments in Ohio all did a very fine job of doing this and bringing the prescriptions out of the homes of not needed and to be destroyed. And then on the next page that Edward has, it shows the poundage that each state destroyed or brought in, I should say. And Ohio has 59,455 pounds of prescriptions that were brought into the police departments, only behind Wisconsin and Texas. So again, Ohio not being one of the biggest states, the participation and the amount of drugs that were brought in, I thought was a neat celebratory event for the DEA and all the participating agencies in Ohio. So that would be my celebratory event.
Highly disturbed by the two states that have zero.
Well, North Dakota and what is that, Arizona down there? I don't know. I guess I just didn't think it was worthwhile, but you know, you have these drugs lying around, someone might pass away or doesn't need them, and you have company over, you have grandkids over, and you know, some of these pills are very, very dangerous, the Oxycontins and Oxycodones and the Vicodins and all that. So I think it's a great project that the DEA does to get these taken out of the homes and into our hands and then destroyed by the DEA also. So neat thing. And yeah, I'm a little miffed in how you say we're not going to participate, but hey, it's been one of those years, hasn't it, with a lot of weird stuff going on. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome.
All right, Chief Wright.
I actually got something pretty neat to share. Last month, our crew, Lieutenant Smith and firefighter Chris Hines, got dispatched for a childbirth-related incident, which isn't all that uncommon. What was uncommon with this is when they arrived at the house, the mother was in imminent delivery. So, I mean, they recognized that the baby was coming, and they delivered a healthy baby girl in the home. Called for additional help, transported mom and baby to the hospital, and they're both doing great. So, pretty neat thing that, you know, we deal with a lot of unpleasant things. So, it's actually pretty neat when we get to be involved in something like that. And we also did go out on Halloween with our friends in the police department, like we always do, going out, driving around the community, passing out candy to the kids, making a presence, and trying to keep people safe. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, I just want to take a minute to thank our staff. The staff in the fire department and in the township this year has been rough on everybody with everything going on, especially with COVID. You know, it's affected everybody personally, most everybody professionally. It's been rough on us in the fire department. I mean, it's changed everything we've done. You know, we've been a little short-staffed. We've had people that aren't allowed to work because of their full-time employment. Runs have been up and down throughout the year. It's really worn us down, and everybody continues to come in and with a smile, do a great job. I'm hugely appreciative of the amazing effort they've been making. I just wanted to take a moment to share that and recognize our folks. That's all I have.
Thanks, Chief Wright. It's been a crazy year. It's not over yet, though. Are you sure? Do you want to add a caveat to that of, you know, a month left?
After the last few years that we've had, nothing surprises me anymore. But we're running down the list, but you never say never.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Service Director Kohler, do you have anything?
Well, they concluded the 2020 paving program. So everything's been paved. We had to add in a little bit extra because we had some road construction that really distorted destroyed a couple roads, but all went well.
Good deal. All right. Other business. Oh, just a minor point of discussion here. We got to discuss the vacancy on the Board of Trustees.
Who's leaving?
I don't know.
Who would want to leave us?
I'm getting tired of kicking you. I'm gonna go kick somebody else.
There's greener grass, other legs to kick.
Well, so Loretta, do you want to discuss, I guess, our options here as far as the kind of process we may embark upon to fill this seat?
Well, that's entirely up to the trustees to determine, but the process under the ORC is 503.24 and just basically says if there is a vacancy for any reason, the Board of Township Trustees shall appoint a person having the qualifications of an elector to fill such a vacancy for the unexpired term or until a successor is elected. So there is no guidance in here in terms of how that's done. The most recent example was in Batavia Township, and they had posted their vacancy due to a resignation that they had on their board. They accepted letters of interest to fill the unexpired term, and they were addressed to the chair of their trustees in their case. And then they obviously provided a deadline to receive those. And then they did interview those candidates and made their selection. The deadline you have is for the appointment to be made within 30 days after the occurrence of the vacancy. So we shouldn't, unless anybody resigns early, we shouldn't have a vacancy until January, I believe.
Okay. What my opinion would be, I would like to see as thorough and as fair and as transparent as a process as possible in something like this personally. But on from there, I don't have I don't want to dictate the process. I think it should be a collaborative effort with how we go about this. So what do you?
Nick, if I could say, I talked to the Batavia Township Board and they said the way they did it worked very, very well.
So, Alan?
Yes, sir.
Earth to Alan.
We may end up at that same process, but let's think about how we could go about this that would be the most, the fairest, most transparent, equitable way to choose somebody that we're going to end up with a good result at the back end of the process. What do you think?
Well, I'd like to have some more detail on what Batavia Township did. How did they mechanically go through that? I think I know, but there might be some detail that we don't know. But I'm inclined to probably go that route if everybody else wants to go that route.
Well, yeah, I haven't looked at it. I have no information on what they did. So they could have very well used one of those things that roll around and you all fold your name up on a piece of paper and put it in. I have no idea.
They interviewed.
I would not be agreeable to.
So you give each candidate a number, put it on a ping pong ball, get one of those rollers, and you just pull one out. Is that the way you do it?
The shorthand version of my smart ass remark is I don't have any information on it.
But I like the approach. I do. It's creative.
Nick, the way I understand it, they interviewed each applicant that they received a resume from.
Okay. Do you know how they have any info on how they went about obtaining applications? Is something similar that we would usually do with a vacancy on one of our commissions or something like that?
They posted. And they put a deadline, I think Loretta said, and they had to receive the applications by a certain date.
Okay. And then, not that this would happen, but we get 100 applications. Are we interviewing everybody?
No, wouldn't think you'd have to. I think, well, I'll shut up. Let Alan say.
I was listening to you.
Well, I mean, it's like anything else. Anybody that applies for a position in any corporation, there are certain ones that well, the same way that we did when we took applications for the administrator's position.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't interview each and every person.
Right. And some of these questions, again, they were kind of rhetorical, but let's go ahead and see about collecting applications and then kind of discussing who we get and which ones we.
Now, the question that I have, and again, I think you answered this question, Bonnie, because the way we did the administrator search, we were able to have meetings as 3 trustees and do that in executive session. So I imagine that would not be different for the trustee position.
Right. Yeah. You have a right to do executive sessions because it's a personnel matter. And obviously Bonnie can participate if it's before the end of the year. Once the end of the year and Bonnie, ascends to the commissioner spot, then there would just be 2 of you.
So in theory, we just need to have, the language for the posting, which I think we could probably crib from Batavia Township, and then set a date when we want to post that and how many days we want to take before we get it back.
Yeah.
And then, 2 meetings between the 3 of us, right? 1 meeting to sort through applications and 1 meeting to, however many meetings it takes to interview.
Yeah.
And we could go ahead and post that now because by the end of the year, it's going to be a vacancy.
Right.
Yeah. So we could just, Loretta, can you reach out and try to get that language or whoever?
I just forwarded you what I had received from Adele. So it's a matter of selecting a timeline, just backing up from December 31st, I guess. Or actually we have in 30 days after January 1st. Tell me when how soon you want to start, and we have a deadline, no doubt, but
I think we should get this posting out as soon as possible myself.
But we have to tell them the deadline to respond then. So are we going to advertise for 2 weeks, for 4 weeks? We have a couple holidays coming up. So they had in their timeline, what worked for them was they posted on December the 11th, and then they had letters of interest due on the 27th, and they met 3 days later to review the letters and decide who they wanted to interview. And then they interviewed people January the 9th, and then they made their appointment on the 15th.
I think a similar schedule would probably work for us, something around there, don't you think?
Help me with my mathematically allocated mind. How much time was that between the posting and the due date for the interested parties?
Like 2 weeks.
From the 11th to the 27th, yeah.
Yeah.
It worked for them.
Well, we
can post sooner since we're starting in November.
Right.
Exactly. And give them more time.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's interested, they're going to get it back to you within the 2-week time frame.
Yeah.
I would guess, yeah.
And if you want Bonnie to participate, and Bonnie, when is your date to step down from Pierce?
I plan on staying here through the end of the year.
And so, once you get into the new year, Bonnie won't be a trustee. So if you want Bonnie to participate, you need these letters in soon, like in the next 2 weeks, so that she can participate.
Yeah, because you're the 2nd of
Yes.
January, right?
Yes.
You want to put a deadline to get them in? Let me see. I mean, I do think people are going to respond if they're going to respond. At the same time, I think we need to give them a little bit of time.
We'll give them to the end of November, and then we have our first meeting to whittle them down the first week of December.
Yeah, if we get the posting out now, why don't we, or relatively soon, what about making the last day of Friday, December 4th?
The last day to get the applications in.
Correct.
I was thinking, I'm
Nick,
not looking
you've
at
got
it.
almost, I mean, today's the 10th. If you give them till the end of November, that's a little more than 2 weeks. That should be plenty of time.
I was thinking sometime in the week. I mean, obviously Thanksgiving falls, the 25th, so they lose that, but the 23rd, 24th, or the 30th, just to get your application in, is what I'm saying. Pick one of those 3 dates. And then that way we can actually have a meeting that first week of December, the week of the 30th.
Right.
Then we can have our first meeting to whittle down the applications. And then perhaps if we're really aggressive, have the interviews starting the week of the 7th.
Sounds good.
I mean, what do you think, Nick? I don't know. It's tight, but
I still say if someone is really interested in this, they're going to get their resume in soon.
I kind of want the person that has to think about it a little bit, I don't want the person that jumps right in.
2 weeks though, Nick, that's not jumping right in.
I think it was a Plato that talked about the type of person you want leading is not the type of person that wants to lead. So you kind of want the people that are going to do it for the right reasons. I mean, that's not necessarily what I'm not necessarily saying I'm not okay with it. I'm just saying that's my train of thought, is making sure that we give somebody a little time to think about if this is something they want to do and we end up with the right people.
I think we've already had people thinking about it.
So that being said, I am okay with that week.
Which one?
Thanksgiving week. You want to do the 25th? Is that okay?
Are you saying the deadline to respond the 25th or?
Yes.
How about we split the difference between me, you, and Plato, and we do the 30th as the deadline.
I go along with you, Alan.
Sounds good.
That way it gives them that extra 4 days to focus on it and rethink it.
Fair enough.
If you would give me until Friday to get the posting out, that would be lovely too.
Okay. So,
and a question, they only ask for letters of interest. Do you want me to say letter of interest and resume or bio?
That would be helpful. Letter of interest doesn't tell me much about who they are.
I'd like to see something about them personally. What about you, Nick and Alan?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a decision on a person based on their letter of interest.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you can ask for their resume and their qualification and experience.
I mean, if you want to look at it, it's the same as applying for a job,
Yeah.
You need the information to go on.
Right.
And I think
we should ask me what it pays. We're not posting the pay though, right?
It's public, so they can go look it up.
Yeah.
So, but I do think we should add one question to all the applicants. Everyone needs to answer this question. How hard do you kick? I need to know that. I do.
Now, I need to know that because somebody has to keep you in line.
Well, Debbie's still here.
That's right. But you got 2 legs, you get up both sides.
I see.
I hope people understand what we're talking about.
They don't, but we do, and that's all that matters. That's all that cares.
So we'll set that as the deadline, the 30th, and then we'll try to set up interviews shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I think.
So Loretta, when you get those back in, you'll make everybody a copy so that we have them to. Are they coming?
No, I'm going to hoard them all.
Ooh, wow.
Wow. We just approved her little thing tonight and she's getting feisty.
No. You know, you needed to wait till the next meeting. Then we can rescind the motion we did earlier. We're not adjourned yet.
We can rescind motions, can't we?
Yes.
I promise. Would you like me to send them as they're received? So hopefully we'll receive these electronically. So I would be happy to send them as they're received, but then again, I will summarize them for you before you actually sit down and sort out scheduling for candidates.
I think you'll probably get some by mail. We did with yours.
Yeah, that's fine, Loretta. Either way, a lump sum of them for me would be better because I'll lose and forget and other.
Okay.
So then, what would be your preference for the first day for us to get together?
Okay, so I don't. It doesn't matter. What works for you guys?
You'll make it during the day, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can we turn them around fast enough to look to have a first sit down on the 2nd? Or is that pushing it too hard?
I can't do it on the 2nd, Alan.
Yeah. Now the 3rd, I'm kind of bollocksed up as well. Maybe we could push into the week of the 7th.
Want to do it on the 7th?
Yeah, we could do that. Do like 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that.
10 o'clock?
The 7th isn't great for me. Could we do it
for you?
9th or 10th or 11th? I can do any other day that week.
Did you say the 8th?
Yeah.
No.
How about the 9th?
Yes.
Okay.
I can do that.
That's our trustee meeting.
Yeah, we could do it in the morning.
10 o'clock?
Yeah. Does that work for you, Nick?
Yep. All right.
That's going to be your date to begin actual interviews or to discuss the applications you received?
Review and discuss applications.
Okay. So when you meet again that evening or before the end of, look at your schedule for interviews.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because to some degree, the interviews, we'll probably have to do it like we did with the administrator, where we have like a block of 3 days so we can be sensitive to people's schedules.
Right.
We always do a special meeting at the end of December for any cleanup. So we could maybe.
We don't have to officially appoint anybody until after the 2nd. So right. I just would like to know, at least if we've got a name, we can always appoint, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th, whatever, because we've got 30 days after the 2nd. But I would like that. I mean, it'd be nice to have somebody in the seat by the time we have our first meeting in January.
Yeah, because I have to get new signature cards and all that good stuff signed.
Yeah.
And bonded. He's got to get them bonded and all that good stuff.
Right.
All right. So we've got the date set. Loretta is going to post the applications in. Anything else?
So we're gonna post on our Facebook page, our web page. We're gonna do an advertisement in the newspaper.
I was reading Batavia did not.
Did they? Okay.
No, wait a minute. They said the Sun ran an article, but they didn't do a legal advertisement.
Right.
I think they just saw our social media posts.
Just push it out as many avenues as we possibly can. Let's be as transparent as possible. If the newspaper will put it in the newspaper, let's put it in the newspaper.
Yeah, I think we'll put it on Circle, we'll put it on Facebook, we'll put it on our website and the banner.
Absolutely.
Should we push it out like, we've got a couple of different web pages or Facebook pages. Maybe put it on the police Facebook page as well, or is that maybe not appropriate?
I don't know. We'll let Chief Bachman.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's appropriate. We can put that on there.
I mean, I don't know whether the universes are the same or different, but just so we can say we put it everywhere.
Yeah, more than
that's fine.
all right.
I will draft it and have you look at it before it goes out. Do you want me or do you want the fiscal officer to receive those applications?
Who did Batavia do it to?
Adele did.
Then I'm fine with that unless Debbie has some desire to have more paper in front of her.
So that would be fun.
I'm fine. I just thought I'd ask.
All right. We cover it all for now. Good deal. All right. Open floor discussion, public comment. We got anybody else? Let's see. Got a couple raised hands here. I don't know if I'm reading this right. D. Luke, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question. I know it just came up and somebody asked me the other day, you talked about the lighting assessment in Legendary Run. Is that a permanent assessment or is that a temporary assessment through the TIF?
I think, I was going to say, I think that Debbie could answer that, but it is permanent as long as the lights are there and as long as the lights are on. So the TIF expired quite some time ago or was ended several years ago, but the lighting continues on and there's an annual resolution Debbie takes care of.
Yeah, and because Legendary Run they have a lighting assessment that is paid through their property taxes and then it's distributed through the property taxes to us for their lighting.
Okay, yeah. It was a question that just came up. Somebody thought it was supposed to end or not, and I just heard your comments earlier. So I'm hoping maybe our board will put something out just so everybody understands the purpose of the lighting. As long as the lights are operational, we will have that assessment.
Right, as long as you guys approve, sign a petition to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Michelle. Oop. Just muted Alan by accident. Alan, you're gonna have to unmute, man. Sorry.
It's Nick's little way of kicking me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to pop in real quick, let everyone know that I've been working with a lady with the Board of Health on the Christmas parade. And because parades are still prohibited, we've been talking about doing a reverse parade, which seem to be very popular during the COVID season here. And so we're working on a plan to continue on with the Christmas parade as safely as we can for everyone involved. And again, that date would be Sunday, the 13th at 2. And we have the Amelia Elementary parking lot reserved for that date.
Well, okay. So what is our role in this and in regards to how it kind of, I guess, falls in line with whatever current recommendations and regulations there are? Where do we sit with that?
I've been working, I've included Loretta in all of the emails and correspondence and stuff with the layout and then the guidelines that the Board of Health is asking us to adhere to. And we're going to wrap those up and probably have a meeting. I think we decided maybe on the 19th, if everybody was good with that date. We were all going to get together and discuss a final plan.
Yeah, so just to clarify, like, if we didn't say this was okay or did say this was okay or whatever, I mean, as far as a township is concerned, what is our way in? How does that work on something like this? Loretta, can you help me with that?
Well, actually, in the traditional form, there's street closures, so there's a lot of staff involved in managing traffic. The police departments, the sheriff department, our police department have representatives that are attending these meetings in order to work through the logistics. So I don't know if Chief Bachman can speak to his participation or his representative participating in this and what our role will be, since we'll be on the Batavia Township side and there's no street closures other than managing the traffic that will be going through this reverse parade. It's I believe less demanding in it than it's been in the past.
Yeah, you're correct, Loretta. It's now scheduled to be at the Amelia Elementary. As you know, last year it was straight down to 125 like it has been for all the years since, and that's pretty much divided between Pierce and the Sheriff's Office, Batavia Township. So we had, I believe we had maybe 8 officers on traffic posts this year. If it is at the elementary, if that holds true, it is all in Batavia. Of course, we will reach out to Chief Deputy Stratton to see what he needs in manpower on 125 or anywhere else. But as it sits right now, it is entirely in Batavia Township. So if needed, we will help out by all means, and we will do that willingly.
All right, thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Renee. Renee, you there?
Sorry, I'm getting it. I'm too many buttons.
Hey, Renee, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey.
Here I am. We'd be remiss. I just want to, since Veterans Day is tomorrow, and I just want to thank all the veterans out there. If there's any on here, I don't know if Joe Armstrong's still on here. But my husband and my 2 sons and myself all served. And I just want to thank all the veterans for their service.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to remember. And by the way, Renee, thank you for your service and for your sacrifice, because you've given us a couple of your kids, right? And
Yes.
They're out there fighting for us. So, that's great.
Yep.
And greatly appreciate it. I'm very proud of everybody that actually serves. It's a tough job.
Yeah, it was.
I think Jeff,
I'll never forget.
Yeah. And Jeff, you guys too, and Craig Wright. I mean, nothing's been worse than this particular year, but back on the home front, it's awful, and out on the front, it's awful. So,
yeah, and we thank you
for
guys,
all you guys do.
Jeff and Mr. Craig. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You got a haircut. Look at that.
It's shiny. You need to do some.
Which one are you talking about?
Well, both of you, really.
Well, actually, both of you, really. Yeah.
I lost them, and Jeff gained a little right here. But
yeah, well, I was going to say, Alan looks like he lost his razor. So
it's been worse, Renee. It's been worse.
I don't know if that's possible, but okay.
All right, thanks, Renee. That was a good point there. So I don't know I appreciate the updates and all the info. I don't, keeping the line of information flowing about the parade, but I don't think, other than Chief Bachman being willing to help if needed, I don't think there's a whole lot going on for us. All right, Michelle, you got anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anybody else from the public here, comments? All right. We have we would like to go to executive session to discuss collective bargaining with the Pierce Township Police Association and to discuss the purchase or sale of real estate. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Bachelor,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Now, how do we do this?
Eddie will be making a breakout room, right, Eddie?
We just hang out right here and he'll break us out, or?
I think it's going to come as an option for you to click on and you go in there.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
will
I just need to
receive
know
an
who's going to
invit-
be in the room.
Yeah, you need to receive an invitation, and generally you decide who is invited, but I would say all of the elected officials and the police chief and myself and the planning and zoning administrator.
Do
That's my
I
recommendation.
leave this meeting?
When you get a message on your screen, right, Eddie?
Yeah. So all those people sound fine with me. So Eddie, go ahead and move accordingly, and you guys should all get a notification on your screen.
I think you forgot me, Loretta.
Of course, the law director.
And Debbie. And Debbie.
I
Yeah.
said all elected officials.
Okay.
Remember, she's an elected official.
I know that.
Okay, so I got all the elected officials. I got Tom and who else did you mention?
You and I and Chief Bachman.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Okay. Join.
Join.
Just for any public, if they're still here, we may or may not have any follow-up business, but it's not very likely.
Are you guys there?
And we're back.
Yep.
We're the only ones in the
Here.
room.
Yep.
Oh, no, that's Craig.
Yep, I'm here. Eddie's here.
Yeah.
Playing it safe as the backup in case the computer crashed. One of the two would be good to get it back going.
All right.
All right, so I don't think we have any other business to do here, right?
No.
All right. I just need a motion to adjourn, right?
Yep.
So moved.
Bonnie, you're muted. I don't know if it matters, but I think it automatically muted everybody when you came back in for whatever reason.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes,
Mrs. Batchelor,
it
Oh,
dies
no.
for lack of effective.
Oh, there she is. That was like a clutch shot right there at the buzzer.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
All right. See ya.
Night.
Have
Night.
a good night.
Good night, John Boy and everybody.
Good night.
I'm
Night.
sleeping in tomorrow.
Mhm.